the TikTok pages and things. If you want to see one, a much better view, I have my old phone doing this on the TikTok one. Uh, Go to the link in bio, click click on that link, go all the way down, click on the YouTube. We got much better live going on in the other stream, other streams, plural, and I show all the supplement slides and the materials that I go through when I'm explaining the questions that you guys are asking. So, my own theory, TikTok is on its way out. I don't know. I think it's on its way out. So, but yes, join us over on the other platforms. Easy to get there. But yes, for Miss Angel, like I said, vitamin D, some Romania, some ashwagandha there. I would want to see previous labs. I would want to see possibly even some new labs on blood work, and then doing probably a urine test as well as possibly doing a stool test there. So we can have these autoimmune triggers addressed and now reverse engineer some of this. Do you know any conditions where someone can dislocate their knees at their own will? Ehlers-Danlos? Possible, possible. Just hyper a form of being hypermobile with some other things there. Everyone see actress. Oh, I did not see that. Breaking news. I don't know her though. Okay. I started noticing lumps on my neck, and I was touching it yesterday, and it swelled up. Help. Okay, you could do some rebounding. So I'd get a rebounder trampoline. I would get a vibration plate, and probably subscribing to a local gym that does some sauna, just so that you can move a lot of the fluids out and move your lymphatics along. But there's definitely things going on internally that I would want to address here too. Figure out why that immune system's responding there. So, okay, Laney, actually, as we learned last time. So we get some haters. That's always fun. Is there any treatments for that? It's my son. He also randomly collapses. Where was your first one? Oh, the knees. Mm. In terms of the random collapsing, that is probably the primary thing to be looking at here. And is that more seizure type behavior, or what does that look like? We got Rohith popping in to the YouTube page there. Some of the OGs. How we doing? But yeah, give us more info on your son though, because there's probably some missing pieces here. And then they said, well, I'm scared of cancer. I would want you to do an immune panel there so that we could see if there's immune suppression, and go from there. So, can you do some things that are going to support the liver and support the lymphatic system? Of course. You could do some astragalus. You could do some milk thistle and get some protective factors there. Doctors say they are febrile seizures, but his last one had abnormal symptoms. He said 3. I would want to know how old he is and history of vaccines there. But yeah, you can do something like alcidonia, really calming for the brain, and probably putting bacopa and a little bit of ginkgo within his like orange juice or apple juice because it's a liquid, so it tastes terrible. But he's going to get here actually. Oh, I thought I had the slide. I don't have the slide, unfortunately. But yeah. For some reason, I feel like the UPS guy always delivers my stuff right as I'm doing these lives. It's like, dang it, every time. Will ultrasound help? And blood work, of course. Oh, you mean diagnostic things? Yeah, I mean, definitely worth getting done. Definitely worth getting done. In terms of blood work, let me know if he's terrible with needles because there's now basically little shoulder patches that you can get. You can click one little button and it'll draw the blood for you. Very easy to do. But I would also possibly want to look at doing some urine testing with him too to look for toxicity and why those seizures are happening. So something like an oats test or something like a ZRT lab can give us insight as to heavy metal exposure and mycotoxins or parasitic issues or bacterial things. Because usually when you're not getting an answer for what's going on, it's something with the immune response. So that is the majority of what I see. Before, oh wait, it feels like they're just trying to put my mind at ease, but not convince themselves. So, that's a pretty common position to be in because you're in a gray area, or he is, to where there's not pathology being found, which is a good thing. That is a somewhat of a good scenario to be in because it's not a life or death thing. But you still want to figure out why those symptoms are occurring. He shouldn't be having seizures. He shouldn't be passing out. Um, and I think that's a matter of calming down the neurological and immunological responses that go on and control those systems. So, alcydonia and maybe even some albizia, so you can just calm the brain down and calm the immune system down. Two, really great things for neuroinflammation and systemically. Both plants, good stuff there. Link in bio. I would still want to see some labs on them. Before 1 month ago, my blood was totally okay and my iron was high. I don't know now, but I have some lumps. Yeah. Again, milk thistle help you convert and metabolize some of the iron and get rid of the excess there, which is an issue with the liver. Um, Come to see with certain meds and things like that, though. So I would want to know what you're doing there. Um, I would still astragalus and milk thistle because you're going to help both of those scenarios. And if you have that lab, send me a DM on here and I'll give you my email and I can go over that lab. Hello. I got blood work done. My iron and B12 are very low. Really common to see. I would do high amounts of a liver glandular. So basically, a grass fed and finished organ meat in the form of liver. And that you can get through the online store here as well. So check out the bio there, Miss Ashley. Nice and simple one. I mean, there's mental stress too that impacts the stomach acid that can deplete that and inhibit B12 absorption and things like that too. So feel free to give us more details. We may have to add in BT&HCl or California poppy, depending on what's going on there. But at the very least, some liver glandula. Hello, I've been having frequent headaches and I work on night shift. What do I do? I would do high dose melatonin. I would do albizia so you can dilate the brain a little bit there and have that antihistamine effect. Ashwagandha as well, just because you can have um, effects on the brain and impact in the HPA axis there because of the night shift work. You're definitely going to want to support that. It's going to ruin the adrenals. But yeah, melatonin, liquid ashwagandha, probably some albizia. Make sure you're hydrating, obviously, covering your minerals, salt, ultimate powder, whatever you got to do, element T, whatever. And I would look for a new job, to be quite honest with you, because night shift work is a type 2 carcinogen. Okay, very welcome. Can't see. We've already done a stool test and an oats, but in the meantime, what to do for constipation in a 4-year-old? I would get some Gastro Clear. I would want I would want to know if they could swallow capsules yet for can't see here. And I would want to see the stool test and the oats test. I would love to see those two labs because that'll pretty much show us why they're so constipated. Um, and yeah, let us know. But Gastro Clear will will make you go. And they're young, so you don't need high doses there. DO or DC? DC. It's right in the name. LPAS. Higher than normal means. I don't really know what you're asking. When I touch my lymph node, it is warm. Well, is that a bad thing or a good thing? Um, I would go to somebody in person that can evaluate that. That way you can have some nerves settled there too, and there could be better diagnostics ran. That's something that you're going to want to get looked at physically. So, all right, let me pop over here. Doing pretty good. All my YouTube people are always so quiet. I'm trying to get my TikTok people to head over to the freaking YouTube because it's way better than being on the vertical stream here. It's much more cozy. I keep saying that I'm going to show you guys the freaking supplement slides as I show or go through these things. I got the whole list of them right here. But that's my cue, my mental reminder. Got to give you guys good value here. So, do you know what DNP is? Feel free to spell it out. That would definitely help. Can't see. She can't swallow pills. I've got some oxy powder. I hope you mean ox bile. And just dumped it inside the pill into water and put it in a syringe. What was the name again? Gastro Clear. You could do the same thing because they're not going to taste it or anything, but really smart move, like using a kind of a little syringe there. Get some water in there and go pew right down through. So Gastro Clear, though, it's in the store in the bio there. And if you guys are on the East Coast, I ship them right from my office. So really cheap shipping. It's like $5. Which most companies, it's like freaking $11 nowadays. It's crazy. I just have anxiety all day because of possible lymphoma. I'm scared now. I don't know what it is. Yeah, I would go to somebody in person that can draw your blood and evaluate that. You could do, something like an immune panel, but it's probably going to help you more as an individual to get that addressed in person there. Missed my face a little bit there. Cool. Well, we like stopped all of a sudden out of nowhere. Actually, let me. Okay, Cancer gives us more info. So, thank you. You're very welcome. We have digestive enzymes, magnesium citrate, vitamin C. Nothing has helped. So, yeah, you want to up the ante there a little bit, especially if magnesium citrate is not doing the trick. We got to up the ante here a little bit. Gastro Clear, my friend. It's thankfully it's not like a disgusting liquid herb, which are great. They work wonderfully. But for a little gear like that, yeah. And you can do some abdominal massages as well. You could do like a vibration plate. You can shake the bowels up a ton with that and just get good motility stimulation from having more of a parasympathetic input there. But yeah, for Cancy, also, if you do or click on the link in bio, there's free complimentary calls there too that you could schedule. So I don't know if I can't remember if you said she has labs and things. We have a vibration plate, a rebound trampoline, red light. Oh my goodness. Did castor oil packs? Holy moly, this girl is constipated. You've deployed everything, huh? Still, same answer. GastroClear, fully confident that that would do the trick. Um, fully confident. I am getting heartburn and pains in the body, all in the front, and gassiness. Can acid do all that? Please help. Yes, it can. You want to start definitely some aloe vera juice. You can do some chamomile tincture and probably some slippery elm here, just to help get good mucosal stimulation, calm the immune response down a little bit. But at the same time, you probably want albizia in there too. So the albizia, the chamomile, the slippery elm, all that you can get through the biome. The aloe vera juice, you want to get lily of the desert, and that you can make at home or get from a health food store. You don't want to get the watered down one. Uh, I've seen a lot of patients do that, and they're like, "You mean this one?" It's like, no, not that one. That one sucks. So, what can you do for chiropractic induced vertebral artery dissection? So, you haven't read any of the new research coming out, basically denying all of that because, I mean, it literally does not. It's actually showed improvements with that. So, no clue what you're talking about there. Let me see something here. Look at all the follows coming in there. All right. There we go. Perfect. Sorry, folks. I got a little distracted there. What do we got? Chat's being a little funky here. All right. Man. What else, huh? What else? Where am I from? I am from New Jersey, actually. Born and raised. I'm in Morris County, New Jersey right now at my office. Um, how much battery do I have here? All right, we're good. Sorry, I'm like half distracted right now. I'm trying to pull up all the slides, and I keep saying this, but I think TikTok's on its way out. So if you guys are on here, I'm also on like 4 or 5 other platforms on basically way better streaming stuff. So if you want cool graphics, you want to see all the slides when I talk about all the supplements and things, still got all the online store stuff available in all the same places. But I say you pop over to YouTube there and can see all the stuff I'm about to screenshot and show you guys. I'm trying to pull up some things on anti-nutrient foods. My age, 27 question mark. The interrogation. Where's the stinking PowerPoint I wanted to use? Is it this one? Yes. Perfect. No, I just deleted it. Dang it. Let me go back here. What happened to the camera? All right, we're good now. Camera was a little messed up there for a second. Why can't I change this? What is going on here? Sorry, people. I am just trying to get freaking. There we go. Wow. Wow, that is very annoying. Okay. So, we can run through a couple things here. I'm just going to make sure I could do some dual screen. Hmm. Okay, wait. I will get to that question in just a second. Hmm. I don't know what is going on with my freaking computer here, but it's very annoying. I'm trying to basically pull up my slides. Wow. Approved sign-in request. What does that say? Now this stinking computer has to. Whoa! What happened to my freaking hair, dude? Jeez. You're just all over the map today. Okay. Now, as I almost choked and died, still can't edit my own slides. Why? Why is this, dude? Come on. Okay. Finally got it to work. Holy hell. Not gonna lie, that was really irritating. Okay. Freaking hell. Okay, what the hell ever, dude. Whatever I was trying to do, it's not working. So, anyways, jeez, that was so annoying. Man. There we are. Okay. What do I feel? Heavy on my left side of the stomach and a lot of acid building up, prickling pains. You want to basically get the stomach to empty quicker. So you want to get the acidity higher, actually. And not having enough acidity is going to lead to that GERD type of feeling. So you want to do digestible complex, great starting point. That's going to have apple cider vinegar in there and beta-HCl. After that, though, you got to get some licorice into the body to coat that stomach and start doing some repair of that stomach lining. You could do some bone broth protein and some magnesium citrate, licorice, bone broth protein, probably some chamomile with that too. just to calm that stomach down, get into a nice parasympathetic state, get some good GABA into the system, which obviously good calming neurotransmitter is going to impact all the body systems there. So it's not just one, it's more than one system that you're going to impact there. And, food allergy testing, huge asset to you, massive. On top of that, though, you're probably going to want to do maybe a little digestion glandular in there too. That way you're having good deficiencies covered with all the constituents from that. Any tips on Italian maxing? That's so funny. Just to round off the stomach acid question, you want to promote the inflammatory response to calm down. That's number one. Avoid seed oils, avoid glutens, dairy, corn, processed sugars, all that stuff. I would get a food allergy test done. I would get some chamomile, get a little bit of licorice going, and magnesium citrate. Where does stomach acid come from? Really signaling with your brain, but it comes from the stomach itself that creates it. But it's a feedback loop with the brain. So, all right, we're gonna do a brief intermission, and then we will be back. So, do a little quick break, and then the show shall resume. Man, oh man. We're back. The I was right. Like I said, I don't know when it was, but last time the UPS guy always delivers stuff in the middle of my friggin' live. So, but we got it. We got it. The bag has been secured. Packages are locked away. So, all right. No new chats. So, we got a bunch of coffee left though. Well, let's see. Let's see what we can do here. I'm probably going to run through some of the slides. I'm definitely going to do another stream later on tonight so that everybody on YouTube and Rumble and Facebook and all the other platforms on our other stream right now, which if you guys are watching on TikTok, TikTok's on its way out, man. I swear. So through the link in bio, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you can get to the YouTube pages and all the other accounts that I have from there. And then you can see the horizontal live that I have over on this side where we bring up all the slides and do all the stuff like that. So, but here, let's talk through some good stuff here on foods that lead toward some deficiencies. So, let's get this all open. And as I see new chats come in, we can go through those. But big foods, because I'm going to release a case video later on today about a woman and a thyroid issue. So I wanted to run through a lot of the foods that can lead toward iodine deficiencies because it's just really good timing for it. But yeah, stay tuned for the video. And obviously, let's go through a lot of these foods because in recent times, a lot of people have gotten into Siete like crazy, and myself included. Siete is like an awesome brand, but cassava is like the number one food to inhibit thyroid absorption, and can even deplete that mineral from the body. So cassava number one in terms of reducing iodine in the body and even pulling it out. Soy, another big one. Soy, canola. So canola being the seed oil there. And oddly enough, cruciferous veggies, but that's only when they're raw. So Brussels sprouts are not going to try and harm you. They are protective. And when you steam them or you cook them or ferment them, those anti-nutrient layers degrade. Something that Paul Saladino does not understand, I guess. But either way, it's the carnivore people. Plants, you can still do them. It's just figuring out a way to get them not to attack when you eat them. But all plants are programmed that way. Another one, though, peanuts. Peanuts is a big one. And then millet and rice. So all of those been shown to remove iodine out of the body. And like I said, the cassava, the Siete people, I don't blame you because Siete is awesome. But when you do it too much, then it leads to some issues. So we're trying to avoid having to spend extra money on buying a bunch of iodine because the food that you're consuming is taking it out of your body, right? We'll go over nutrient dense sources to get it from too, but yeah, the effects of kava, intake on thyroid hormone, urinary iodine, showing deficiencies in that, and this is just pulling right from the NIH here. Iodine and iodine deficiency, comprehensive review. The metabolism of cyanogenic glucosides leads to production of cyanide and subsequently thiocyanate. And this group of goitrogens are found in certain veggies such as cassava, sweet potatoes, maize, lima beans, bamboo shoots, linseed, never heard of that one, and sorghum. So cassava is a staple in a lot of developing countries, been linked to the etiology of goiters in Africa. So goiter, basically enlarging of the thyroid glands from an iodine deficiency. Africa, Malaysia, and it contains a couple other things. And actually, when you cook them, it does get worse. So it's not like cruciferous veggies where you can do a cooking process of some sort or steaming and get a benefit from doing that and not having as many anti-nutrients impact that. But cassava is quite the opposite, which is kind of weird. But hey, now you know. Best foods for iodine now. So we talked about the worst ones, and for the new people jumping in, worst ones being cassava, soy, canola oil mainly. That's where you're going to see that most. So seed oils, and then cruciferous veggies if they are not steamed or cooked or anything like that. Peanuts, millet, rice, and then the most iodine-rich foods. Number one, shellfish by far. Shellfish, also fish though, sea kelp, eggs, organ meats, which I'm talking about every freaking live. This is why the iodine in the online store here, in the bio, the iodine that I have is from sea kelp, which is one of the best sources to get it from, and it's just really easy to put into a liquid there, uh, and will last you forever. So, but yeah, keeping in mind that the ranges on iodine are absurd and not really the ranges that you should be paying attention to. But organ meats, vegetables, and fruits, not as much, but they're in there. So, sort of the veganism thing is really tough with getting enough iodine. And a lot of the sources that you're going to get calories from with veganism or vegetarianism doesn't involve the sea protein foods as much. So, or eggs or organ meats. So, it's a little bit tougher. Not that you can't get it from sea kelp, but it is tougher. Worst foods to consume by far in terms of, most inflammatory wise. For the longest time, I was like convinced this was excess sugars, which still though, sugar's number two, but number one is canola oil or seed oils. They're just horrible. Linoleic acid, all the heart studies showing basically crazy, terrible effects on those. But let's kind of break away, head to the chat, see if we got any commentary here. Crickets say, that's all right. So for the rest of these, hold on. How do you diagnose and treat a STEMI? That is not something that I do. Certainly not something that I do. There's definitely lifestyle factors that I would want to focus on, things nutritionally, maybe even from a supplement standpoint, but that's not the approach that I take, and it's not even the framework, and it's technically illegal to have that approach. So, at least being a holistic provider, when it's something like a cardiac concern, I would want to look at small, dense lipoproteins. So, lipoprotein little a, I would want to look at small, dense LDL, apolipoprotein B. I would want to see calcium score. I would love to see that. I would want you starting on K2 rich foods or supplementing with the K2. Also looking at, I guess, cystatin C. That's a good one too. Insulin, A1C. Blood sugars are going to be a huge piece of this. I would want to see triglycerides. I would want to see some immune factors there too, because the immune system is going to be obviously responding, putting things down like crazy. So, in terms of like supportive factors, I like Oregon grape. I like Neo 40, nitric oxide 40. I like I said, the K2. You can do some cordyceps mushroom. You can do some astragalus there, support the vascular systems. Probably some B vitamins in there too, but support the liver. You can't go wrong with that. Maybe some milk thistle. It's kind of a very jam packed question, but if you have labs or things that you want to talk about, links in bio. You could schedule a comp call, and then some people just like to go right to the store that I mentioned, and some people like to book new patient appointments too. But you got to hold within your budget, right? Do family medicine docs ever refer patients to you? Yeah, I mean when they know what you do, just because there's basically so many bad apples in this field. Um, it's kind of hard to tell, but unless you know, like I have good relationships with physical therapy, some pediatricians that I know, some infectious disease people I know. So it depends, but personally, I do. and birthing centers. They're awesome. And PAs. I have a few nurses that are patients, so that's kind of fun. The nurses love this kind of stuff too. I've also noticed anybody that's in the US has like crazy weird issues with what I'm doing here. But the people that are not in the US, even if they're a medical provider, they like hate this stuff. I don't know. It's really weird. I think it has something to do with I don't know, maybe the media and how it's changing people. Just a theory. Just a theory. Man. Hello from South Africa. Isn't that crazy? Like just doing a live here, we could be talking from across the freaking world here. Hello from South Africa, also in the medical field. Welcome, welcome. How we doing? A little Friday here. That's why I'm in a hoodie. So it's kind of a laid back live here. Normally I'm all dressed up. Mr. Adam, hello. How we doing? People from all over, huh? A lot of a lot of international viewers. Which is kind of crazy still that since the US got what the TikTok thing, Oracle bought them, something like that. All good. Just finished up my op, so just hanging out, chilling. Nice. Yeah, I actually. What time is it here? 3:50. Almost 4 p.m. somehow. This day has flown by. Meant to do the live a little bit earlier, but kind of got carried away with a bunch of other stuff and patients calling me and things. So, but we have to prioritize the patients. I definitely want to do another live later though. And like I said, over on the Rumble platform and YouTube and all that, again, you can get that through the link in bio. Just scroll all the way to the bottom. There's the horizontal live. I show all the slides and everything. And I can even highlight your questions when they come in. Sorry, I hate burping on stream. It's disgusting. Like I'll do it with Rohith right here. I don't even know if he's still in here, but I think it's cool. I can kind of bring up all this stuff. Like, look, Sassandra, boom. Nice little pretty graphic there. Sassandra actually has melatonin in there. It's pretty wild. What do you specialize in? Chiropractic, health restoration. Basically, all holistic point of view here. Random question: have you watched American Horror Story? Promise this has a point to it. I have watched like the first 2 episodes, which I thought were really good, and then the third episode I watched on Netflix like probably 9 years ago. Maybe that time frame's off. I don't know, but it was a long time ago, and I got to the third episode and went meh. I don't care. Or it was like there was there was a part of that show where they were in like a house. I think it was the first season, and then I don't know. After that, didn't really care much for it at that point for American Horror Story. Adam, I'll come back to yours. It was silly, or it was great until eighth season. Then it got silly. Yeah, I don't know. I liked it in the beginning. That was pretty much it, though. I'm not a big show person, not a big movie person. I kind of hate movies at this point. They all suck. So, yeah, I hate wasting time. That's my thing. Why did you decide to do what you do? It was through actually a lacrosse girl in my undergrad school. I was an athletic trainer trying to fix a shoulder issue. This is sort of a two-part story. First part, though, is basically her shoulder. I deployed every single massage technique, retraining technique that I knew could not get to the shoulder to calm down for whatever reason. Deployed everything I knew. And then we invited our team athletic trainer in, or team chiropractor in, and he took like 2 seconds, adjusted her base of the neck, never had that issue again. And I was like, what am I missing here? And I got kind of a not annoyed, but I was like, dang, there's more to this human body here because I could do all that athletic training stuff or sort of physical therapy realm, more the rehab scene I could do alongside of the adjusting and all the spinal things. So just heavily involved with the nervous system, and I could run blood work, I could run stool testing, urine, I could do nutritional things. So went to Cairo school, and typical Cairo stuff is mainly adjusting. That's like a lot of what we do, but that's really only focusing on the physical trauma portion, the trauma T or the physical stress piece that is part of our philosophy. That's how we think because physical stress can impact other areas of the body. I mean, people have on everybody knows that a lot of people hold stress in their shoulders and just stressing out like crazy can lead to neck pain. I've done it. I actually did it like a month ago. It was terrible because I can't adjust myself. So I did some rehab things. It was good then. But yeah, in school, I basically started to become nauseous all the time, started to get a bunch of heart palpitations, started to get headaches and depression. And I was in grad school, so you're doing a lot of studying and not a lot of sleeping, stress eating like crazy. Um, and I started to develop some allergies, some issues with my GI, some blood sugar issues. Thankfully, nothing was really wrong hormonally, but my GI and my immune system was a wreck because of the lack of sleep, because of the constant stress, because of the crazy studying. So I found a Wellness Way club in my school and took my student loan money and went through care. And I was like, if this works, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. So that was like 5 or 6 years ago, and been studying like crazy ever since. Basically, helping a bunch of people with similar or very different issues going on. But yeah, that the wellness way approach is chiropractic in its fullest extent. It's mental, chemical, and physical stressors that we're going to use X-ray films, physical exams, lab testing, whether that's blood, urine, hormonal, or saliva, GI, or stool testing to figure out what the heck's going on. So, and then rebuild the body. It's pretty much a fire department or fireman carpenter analogy there, to where we're going to be more of a carpenter type of doc that's going to rebuild the home. If it's a plumbing issue or if it's a electrical thing going on, we want to rebuild those aspects of the house. And there's a medical approach too, to where you can use axes and hoses or medication and surgery and spray the house down and do surgery on it. And that's sometimes extremely needed. Sometimes, though, people go through that and still have some issues going on, and you kind of have to do both forms of care to really solidify things. So it's just what the person is looking for in regards to their health situation and kind of what they prefer to be done there. But yeah, there's a time and place for everything. Good question though. A little story time to fill in some time so that we could build up some darn questions. Because since I'm on a soapbox for the past few days, since TikTok bought this, or what is going on? Since the US bought freaking TikTok, it's just been a train wreck here in terms of the questions. Because TikTok was great. It was actually growing on me, and I thought I would never say that, but yeah, it's just kind of dead at this point. I used to have a bunch of people, just constant questions coming in. Even if they were fake, it just had a good rhythm to it. But for, planning for that, I'm going to be basically prepped with slides from here on out, so that we can cover some topics. And then in between all the questions that we get, I can give you guys some value there. So really centering in on things that you could do lifestyle wise and with food, uh, so that you can get ahead of some of these issues. So, all right, what else? One of the few. Hey, thanks. You look like the famous guy. I forgot his name, but you sound like him too. That's funny. He used to be an actress. Whoa, that's pretty cool. Mishka, do you think health professionals make too much money? I don't know. I guess it depends because if you ask a nurse, I don't think they get paid enough because the nurses are doing like probably most of the work, right? So I think that question or that answer will vary. Good question though. Good question. All right, let's see what else I got for you. Um, certain professionals, yes. Yeah, it depends. That answer is going to depend a little bit. So, boom. Hi, hello from the gallery. I have an issue with my stomach. A lot of people commented on some stomach issues today, and the past few days actually. Things come in waves, it seems, and slow bowels for years. No diagnoses. What can I do? I would get some testing done. I want to do probably a blood panel at least one, so we can find some inflammatory things going on. I would definitely want to check CRP because if CRP is showing up high, that's going to give us a much more clear direction as to what to be doing. So I would say start with a small piece of blood work that can evaluate CRP. I would do says I did everything's normal. I disagree because there's probably some things that are about to be out of normal, or there was just not enough looked at. But send me the message on here. I'll give you my email. You can send me that lab. I mean, in terms of like what to do right now, you could do some Albizia tincture and some chamomile tincture as well. That way you can work on. Hold on, getting a bunch of emails. But yeah, that way Albizia, chamomile, you can work on the allergic responses going on here, creating an immune response in the stomach, basically causing bloating, indigestion, a bunch of symptoms that nobody likes. But you do want to stabilize the mast cells that are being activated and then figure out what they're being activated by. And a lot of that is food, a lot of that is different forms of stressors. Like the video I'm going to release later on today was a hairdresser that had a lot of GI and autoimmune type issues, but for her, her stressors were really from cosmetology and interacting with basically a different form of chemical interaction there. So, but okay, endoscopy, colonoscopy, normal. Scans, normal bloods, normal. Poop sample, normal. It's been 10 years. My goodness. Well, hey, go to the link in bio, book a complimentary call, completely free. I'll give you my email. We can look over the most recent labs you got and then find a good direction to figure out what is going on here. Because your body doesn't just create symptoms for no reason, it's doing that for a reason. And we just have to figure out why. But, easy first steps Albizia, chamomile, good things, and, reviewing those things and figuring out what we got to do. So, what was I doing? I was checking the slides. Yeah, let me go through these, see what we could do here as we're waiting for some more questions. Um, okay, let's go through a couple of these slides I have here too. But let me check in on our chat here. Oh, wrong page. Sorry about that. Okay. Thank you. Email. Yeah, send me a DM. I don't want a bunch of spammers sending me emails to my office. Okay. let's go through some of these. So, people in the past asking about corticosteroids, or basically after corticosteroid use, what to do about the adrenals and um, basically the immune response there. Vitamin D is crazily underutilized, especially in autoimmune scenarios, because vitamin D will, and if it's high enough, not just in range, not just at 30, but especially if you're getting that to 80, 85 with any form of autoimmunity, and its dose is going to depend on the person's size and all that stuff too, but you can regulate T cells like nobody's job um, by getting that to high enough amounts. And there's also different forms of plant steroids too that are not going to act like medications do, but licorice, fenugreek, also great ones. Even taking in adrenal glands. This is why we have something like adrenal glandular that will essentially have all those constituents and building blocks for the steroidal hormones that are going to help your adrenals create cortisone, basically the most anti-inflammatory hormone that there is. St. John's in different ways, though, more focused on epinephrine and things. And also a cool one with St. John's too is the effects on the brain. So with serotonin and dopamine, there are positive effects there, and good long term things that you can do rebuilding aspect wise. But even things like turmeric, just for the inflammatory reduction there, helping with certain cytokine pathways, and dandelion root, um, not more of a indirect way of working on the adrenals that way. Um, but that's really through what can happen with bile and getting the bile salts to um, have better activation with vitamin D receptors. So pretty cool in terms of what happens there. But yes, why are so many? Some of the weirdest, like most basic questions get filtered out for some reason. So sorry if I take a second to get to some of these. All right. Okay. Hi. She says hello. Any recommendations to recover from cold and weakness? So, like actually getting sick. Yeah. Elderberry with reishi and honeysuckle, which that probably the best tasting supplement that we have, because most of the supplements that we have do not taste that great. So elderberry, echinacea, and I would probably do. I would want to know where vitamin D's at and things like that, but um, depending on what else is going on, you can do certain colloidal silver nasal sprays. You can do an herbal throat spray. It kind of depends. At least the elderberry and echinacea. That link is in bio for the store there. So, and that goes for YouTube, Rumble, Facebook as well. It's all in the store. We finally got that built out, which is nice. We got skincare now with the beef tallow, the tallow balm. We got all the liquid herbs up, all the individual vitamins, the glandulars, the medicinal mushrooms. So, especially the liquids, like the elderberry one, the echinacea, you can't go wrong. Cannot go wrong. But I mean, just echinacea alone will be stimulating the immune response there. Um, Also, anti-inflammatory in a couple different ways, but it can be more of an adaptogen for the lymphatic system. So it can tune things up or down depending on what the body's looking for there. Pretty cool because there's no medications that can do that. There's no adaptogenic medications out there. And that basically means meds are basically inhibitory or stimulatory. And a lot of herbs are that way too. But this is basically any form of adaptogen that can bring the immune response up or down. That's a nice happy medium that you could be doing because you can stimulate like cells to gobble up infected cells by getting neutrophils to kick up their action, getting white blood cells to respond and create more of those, um, killing off the microbes, obviously, stimulating the innate immune response. Echinacea actually stimulating natural killer cell production too. So that is essentially what fights most of the pathogens in your body. Those are like probably one of the most important cells you have. Um, Inducing some cytokine production. So all around, fantastic things. And especially for when you're in that sick period, that's kind of the only time I'm recommending echinacea, unless you're immunosuppressed, obviously. Then that's a totally different story. But um, in the moment, there's effects on nitric oxide, there's effects on vasodilation, even certain cannabinoid receptors to help you calm down and get. People don't realize that you have an endocannabinoid system in your body, which is kind of crazy. Addie, hello, Addie. How we doing? About to go on a run without the knee sleeve after sprained knee. Is that good? I would wear the brace. Castor oil is a good one. It depends. Well, it depends on the brand, but most of the time anybody could do it. Is it going to cure anything? No, but still going to help with certain chemical stresses that go on, especially if you're just looking for good cosmetic effects with the face, with wrinkles or cellulite there. Even go to cola, which whenever I talk about the herbs on here, when you go into that online store, there are hyperlinks to direct medical journals that show basically what I'm talking about here. So there's info sheets, there's all this stuff in the description that I put. So you're welcome. But yeah, trying to help you guys out as much as we can here. But all right, how long have we been going? Just over an hour. Not too shabby. How much coffee do I have left? Oh my goodness. I have so much coffee left. This is crazy. It's like 4 p.m. What the heck? How do I have coffee left? You'll check it out? Heck yeah. Check her out. Okay, let's head back to the slides here. Hello. Who said that? Rylashi? I'm probably pronouncing that very wrong. What about peptides? I don't know too much about them. I don't think there's enough info on them because Ozempic's a peptide and there's a black box label warning for thyroid cancer on that one. So I don't think we know enough yet. But cool question. What are the benefits of applying caffeine to the skin? So you can reduce cellulite by applying caffeine to the skin. Crazy. You can increase microvascular flow, you can increase lymphatic flow, and change your fat tissue. Isn't that nuts? Also, decreasing aging spots, sunspots, puffiness under the eyes. So, there are different cream forms. I do not have one in the store, um, but caffeine benefits on the skin, absolutely nuts. Especially with the cellulite reduction, women love that. They hate cellulite. I mean, who wouldn't hate cellulite, right? But just a little pro tip there. What are the benefits of applying caffeine to the skin? Again, I'll go over that. Lipolysis, so changing the expression of fat tissue, um, increasing microvascular flow, increasing lymphatic flow, and all in doing so, reducing cellulite, decreasing aging spots, and puffiness under the eyes. So, another really common question as I'm waiting for more from you guys to come in there, the best 3 herbs for menopause. And these are all in the store in the bio there. Licorice, because of the androgen production, white peony, and black cohosh. So let's run through some of these actually. Oh, I don't have the pictures of them in the. I'm doing this for the Rumble people. If you guys are on here, head over to YouTube. I think TikTok's dying. Just my personal opinion there. But actually, let me double check. Do we have them up there? What did I say? Licorice, black cohosh, white peony. Oh, we got white peony. So let's do that one first. All right, white peony. Putting her up there. I know you guys can't see this over on TikTok, so head over to the YouTube, go to the link in bio, scroll all the way down. It'll take you right there. So, all righty, Mr. White Peony. Um, again, talking top three herbs for menopause. Because of the inhibition of testosterone synthesis and then the effect on aromatase conversion of testosterone into the estrogens, a lot of women in menopause will naturally hold on to more androgens. So you're just going to have better production of them. They're no longer cycling. So you're going to have a lot more activity by the adrenal glands because the ovaries are on vacation. So, um, again, inhibition of excess testosterone synthesis. So you're not going to make too much, and then the amounts that you have that are in excess are going to convert down in the liver to the estrogens, and not just a menopausal thing that people can do there. Commonly seen with cysts that form, whether it be cystic acne or PCOS itself. There's other connections to insulin with PCOS too, and obviously all of these things are going to have multiple effects here. But um, you can inhibit certain inflammatory mediator pathways that, like for certain cellular activity and cytokine production, modulating certain calcium channels, even like what I was mentioning with the aromatization pathway there, which is connection between testosterone and the estrogens. You can modulate the inflammatory responses there through the GI actually, and modulating that pathway and the will change the brain as well and alleviate spasms in smooth muscle. So some issues with periods can be helpful that way, but mainly for that conversion from testosterone down into the estrogens, supporting some skin hyperpigmentation there. Geez, can't talk. And obviously the muscle relaxation effects that I talked about earlier, but pretty cool. Oh, didn't mean to put that one up. Sorry. We're going over the slides on the other platforms. I'm trying to get all of you off TikTok, by the way. Freaking hate TikTok now. It sucks since the US bought it. But yeah, go check that out. The other ones too, black cohosh and licorice. And that's really licorice being an androgen producer, more or less. So you're going to have a lot of top down production of those hormonal changes. White peony helping with that conversion, and black cohosh just helping with estrogen selector sensitivity and modulation of that. So, but top three herbs for menopause, link in bio. You can snag them right there. I would obviously want to see a blood panel along with that. We could do a bio box from Access Labs. That's basically a shoulder patch, slaps right on there. Press a button, get your blood drawn. You don't have to spend another $40 to $80 on a blood draw, which is crazy, by the way. I hate how they're doing that, jacking up the prices of those things. Criminal, guys. The lab should be getting cheaper and cheaper over time and easier for you guys to do, not harder. But we're getting there. We're certainly getting there. Somebody says hello. Hello. And then a Lodi. Is the TSH of 3.5 too high? Yes, it is. For somebody with Hashimoto's. Yeah, that should be between like 1 and 2. Obviously, you want to look for what's creating the antibodies to respond, and that's going to be hidden in immune triggers. For the time being, can you do some simple things? Can you support your liver, which is going to help a lot with T3 to T4 conversion and T3 activation there. And the majority of that is done by the liver, not even the thyroid. So 60% of it, 60% of that conversion is done there. So I would do some Sisandra, which is a liquid herb, and I would do probably some dandelion root and turmeric. So just focusing on the liver there a ton, getting inflammation down. And I think you will see some pretty nice changes there just by getting certain things to respond. Like, I mean, just Sisandra alone for the people on YouTube and Rumble and Facebook. I'll pull this guy up. So let's get Sisandra up on there. But yeah, hepatoprotectant, adaptogenic. Obviously, tons of antioxidants in there, even has melatonin, has vitamin C, has all those good minerals, and micronutrients there. But really, one of the most potent free radical scavengers. So when there's DNA damage occurring, you can scoop up a ton of that and remove it from the system, and even promoting new liver cell growth. So new healthy liver cell growth, hepatocyte or hepatocyte growth there, and then limiting some of the lipid peroxidation that can occur. So when you start to inhibit some of that, acute hepatic injuries start to lessen. You get anti-inflammatory pathways now preventing things like arachidonic acid getting too high, or other inflammatory things like when you work out and get a crazy inflammatory response from it, or have a ton of macrophages creating issues with the sinuses or basically inflaming the body. Um, Anti-carcinogenic effects there, even strengthening some uterine contractions. So when people have issues with the cycle that way, different lignans can induce phase one drug metabolism and phase two. So you get basically all liver pathways stimulated through CYP pathways there. Um, but being adaptogenic, which again is not stimulatory or inhibitory, it can do either one. So you can also raise the levels of neurotransmitters in the brain. You can do a lot of stuff just by doing one tiny little herb there. But yeah, I would want to support your liver a lot more. Schisandra, turmeric, probably some dandelion. But yes, I have too much acne. Can you please suggest something? So it's kind of going to depend. Is this from deficiencies, which is really common? You can have just really low fatty acid vitamins there. So I would do something like a liver glandular. So you could get a ton of vitamin A into the system. And then I would do probably either gymnema or white peony, depending on what else is going on. So if it's a hormonal thing and you've had, issues with a female cycle, I don't even know if you're a female. I can't tell from the picture. So let me know. But that will kind of determine. I would at least do liver glandular, and depending on what's happening with some of the androgen hormones there, you can do some white peony. You can do other things, but yeah, vitamin A and get your sugars down. Um, and then it would depend on inflammatory thing going on or hormonal thing going on. Hi, hello. Prepping for my first colonoscopy ever. Uh, age 36, female. I I don't do them, so I wouldn't know. I like doing functional labs to where we can look at like a stool test and see opportunistic infections, barrier disruption, pre and probiotic counts, things that are gonna impact the patient, and let them know what they can do with lifestyle and food and any supplementation that would be needed there. But colonoscopy is more of a medical question there. So, but yeah. Sorry about that. No problem. Don't be sorry. You're all good. You are all good, my friend. Well, hey, what else we got here? My TSH goes up a lot in the winter. Vitamin D is probably getting low. So I'd want to see your vitamin D. Um, if you use the link in bio, we can set up a free call. We could do the BioBox test marker, look at thyroid hormones, and look at your vitamin D there if you don't have that already. But vitamin D is something that we have to know. Also, getting your sugars down, getting some iodine in the system, getting some selenium, also available through the link in bio there. But I would want to know where that thyroid panel is at so that we know how to support you in the right amounts, and make a difference here. Ashwagandha, another great thing you can do, just because you're going to have effects on the immune system, on the brain, on thyroid tissues. So a lot of good things that can come from that. But it's a matter of getting stressors down, getting the inflammatory responses down, so that your body's not trying to deal with all this mental and chemical stress as it's trying to make thyroid hormones. But your liver's going to be doing 60% of that thyroid conversion. So maybe it's either a production issue, a conversion issue, the autoimmune piece, destruction. So we're probably leaning toward that autoimmune piece, and now it's finding the immune triggers, which is going to be different for everybody. So, can you do some things like turmeric to calm down some of that initial response as you're figuring out what immune triggers are taking place? Yeah, but cures for plantar fasciitis, I would say you want to find a very comfortable shoe for your foot archetype or shape. Vibration plates are probably really helpful. Ice massage, so you could freeze like a plastic water bottle and use that as an ice massage technique just to help with pain and things. Probably a massage gun as well could do you really well. There's even temperature massage guns at this point where you could change hot or cold, do things like that. Um, those would just be like kind of some of the original ones, but it can be kind of complex for a lot of people. And there can be systemic things changing that and leading to tissues becoming hardened and stiff and all that. So, my approach is going to be more of looking at chronic inflammatory sources and trying to get the body to change from the inside out. But there's definitely physical things you can do there. So, all right. Well, hey, good stuff for people hanging out and things. You can schedule calls through the link in bio. You could do orders through the supplementation that I talked through if you're just trying to jump to that. If you guys need to book appointments to go through care and do all those things, all through that website. Um, but yeah, if you want to send me labs and do stuff like that, it's probably going to be best to send me a DM if you're on TikTok. If you're on the other platforms, it's going to have to be an email, but let me know and we can figure this stuff out. I'm probably going to do another live later tonight. I just got to do a couple other things first, restock shelves and do some other stuff. So, but stay tuned. We will definitely be back and have a good rest of your Friday.